we're going to be working on today is composite area, and they're just two shapes squished together. So sometimes you're going to be adding the two areas. You're going to add the two areas when the shapes are next to each other. Next to each other, we would add. When the shapes are on top of each other and it says find the shaded area, this is a subtraction problem because we have this shape and we have that circle taken out of the middle. We're only left with the edges of the square because we have removed or taken away a circle. So first off, you kind of have to draw your shapes separated out and decide whether they're next to each other and you're going to add, or they're on top of each other and we have a situation where something has been taken away. It will often say find the shaded, to find the shaded area. Okay, so this right here is a half circle, and we know the rule for the whole circle is radius squared pi. So I'm going to do that, and then at the end I'm going to cut it in half. I'm dividing it in half because it's only a half of a circle. So this has a diameter of 8, so it would have a radius of 4. 8 divided by 2 gives me 4 for the radius. So that's the number I'm going to use, 4 times 3.41. And eventually I'm going to need to cut that in half. Again, I'm dividing my answer in half because this is a half circle. I went ahead and did this multiplication out of 4 times 3.14. And I got for that 50 and 24 hundredths. And that is what I'm going to cut in half, giving me 2500 and 12 hundredths. This is a triangle. I need to look into the deep parts of my brain and remember the rule for a triangle is length times width divided by 2. Remember when you're finding the length and the width of a triangle, we need the two numbers to be perpendicular to each other. The little square reaches out and says, use me, use me. So what I'm going to do here is the 8 times 12, and this rule has a divide by 2 in it. This one I divided by 2 because it was a half circle. This one I divided by 2 because that's the rule for a triangle. Length times width divided by 2. So this would be half of 96. 9 times 12 is 96. Cut it in half and we get 48. So the area of this part is 48. The area of this part is 25 and 12 hundredths. So my total area would be 73 and 12 hundredths. Meters squared because I'm talking about area. This one I'm going to do very much the same thing. I'm going to do the square, which is length times width or side square, 22 times 22. It is a square, so they all would be 22. And when you multiply that out, you get 484. And then for the circle, I'm going to do radius squared pi. I don't need to divide by 2. This was a half circle. This one's a whole circle. I do need to find my radius. Okay, this is a whole circle. So if the diameter is 22, the radius would be half of that, which is 11. I need to use the radius in the rule. 11 times 11 times 3.14. I'm going to multiply all of that out on a calculator, and I did that earlier and I got this number here, 11 times 11 times 3.14. Okay, and again, this is a hole on this shape. It's a bigger square taking away this circle that's on top of it, and when I subtract those, I would get 104.06 meters squared. When they're next to each other, I would add the two areas. When they're on top of each other, I would subtract them. I knew this circle had a radius of 11 because the diameter or all the way across was 22. Let's look at a couple others. This is the one that we're going to do on the homework assignment. Okay. This heart shape is really just a square and a circle combined. This right here and this right here combine to form a whole circle. Okay? and they are next to each other. When they're next to each other, I would add their areas. So this is 12 times 12, which is 144 for this area. And then that circle is going to be, well, let me see. What is the radius? The radius of this would be 6. Okay, if all the way across is 12, halfway across is 6. So 6 times 3.14. I did that earlier, gives me 113 and 0.4 hundredths. I would add those two numbers up because they are next to each other. It's getting bigger by that much. So I just rearranged where these shapes were, seeing my plan of attack being a square plus a circle. This one right here is a little bit hard to see what's going on. Can you see that this right here is really the same piece as this piece right here? These are all just quarters of a circle, just moved to different spots. This piece is this piece right here. This piece is this piece right here, okay? And that last one, we can just kind of put a little scribble of black in there, is that piece right there. So I've rearranged these pieces, and this is really just another example of a square with a circle on top. It's just that it was rearranged. So that square, I can tell, is 8 by 8. 8 times 8 is 64. And then the circle is 8 all the way across, so 4 from the center to the edge. So 4 times 4 times 3.14. That would get me 50 and 24 hundredths. Uh-oh, I have the wrong symbol here. This is not an addition problem. When they're on top of each other, it should be subtraction, and I want to subtract these two areas. So that's 14 and 76 hundredths. Why did I add on this one? Because they're next to each other. Why did I subtract on this one? Because they're on top of each other. I am looking for the shaded area after we've taken away that circle from on top of that square. And this would be millimeters squared. Practice a couple of them. Use your answer scramble to help you along in the beginning. They're not easy, but you can do it.